All right, hello and welcome. Welcome to Frostbike Virtual. My name is Kristin Cook. I'm the e-commerce content manager for QBP. And outside of my work with Q, I bring over a decade of experience in e-commerce, consumer shopping behavior, promotional strategy, that whole world. What I don't have is a ton of experience on YouTube. So you will not hear me asking you to like and subscribe, and I'm going to do my best not to be too awkward as I present this into an open, empty room. Totally wish that we were together in person, but I'm very excited to still have the opportunity to share some insights with our retailers in this format. So we will get started. All right, I know you guys came to see a presentation on bikes, but before we talk about cycling, we're going to talk about another sport that you've probably heard of, pickleball. So never thought I would be asking AI to create an image of a pickle bike for me, but here we are, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. The inspiration behind this idea for my presentation is actually my parents. They are newly retired and literally obsessed with pickleball. I will ask them to hang out or watch my kids, and they will be like, sorry, we got a pickleball potluck with our friends, or we got a pickleball tournament that we got to go to. And I absolutely love the fact that they are doing it, that they love it so much, that they have a reason to stay active, stay outside, stay social. And it really got me thinking how many of those things are also things that cycling provides. And yeah, so we're going to talk about pickleball, what we can learn from it, and the lessons that the cycling community and retailers specifically can take from the explosion of the sport of pickleball. So why pickleball? Hasn't just grown, it's literally exploded. 3 years ago, you may have not even have heard of pickleball, and now there are courts and indoor facilities and tournaments popping up all over the place. We've seen a 311% growth over 3 years, 20 million new players, and 18,000 new courts built in 1 year alone, and that's like 50 a day. So poor tennis players are quickly losing their tennis courts that are being converted into pickleball courts just to keep up with the demand. Why did this happen? Why did pickleball explode? I think at its core, pickleball removed a lot of barriers for people. It's easy to start. You don't need super expensive equipment. It's welcoming to beginners, social by nature. Most people play in pairs or against a friend, and it's fun. You don't need to be an athlete. You just show up, and it's good for your body, low impact. And like I said, it's an amazing opportunity for retired people, older adults, to stay active in a way that isn't a big strain on their body and doesn't require a ton of past experience or expensive equipment. So my question is, what if cycling could ignite the same kind of movement as pickleball has? What if the demand for riding was so strong that cities raced to build bike paths at the same rate as cities are making pickleball courts right now? And interestingly enough, this isn't the first time we've seen this, and we've seen a glimpse of a cycling surge before, and it happened during COVID. During the pandemic, cycling surged, and it wasn't because more hardcore riders bought more bikes. It was because new people entered the sport. Families, fitness seekers that could not go to the gym any longer, and people seeking social connection in a safe way, namely outside. 10% of people that were cycling during COVID were engaging with it in a new way, and 4% during that time rode for the first time ever. And I'm sure I don't need to remind you of this. We all know in the bike industry that bike shops were scrambling to keep things in stock. There were so many people buying bikes for the first time that we literally could not keep up with the demand. And this was because, again, it wasn't that people that already had bikes were buying more bikes. It was because cycling was entering in new riders for the first time, and we can do that again. E-bikes play the same role paddles did for pickleball. The growth of e-bikes in the bike industry is adding another catalyst that wasn't even there during COVID. So we had families, we had fitness seekers, we had people in general seeking connection during COVID. What we have now are those same people plus e-bikes, which are a prime catalyst for a new group of people, and those are the active older adults, the same people that are causing pickleball to continue to surge. Riders 55 plus have increased their e-bike purchases by 40% in 2 years. The accessibility drives the participation. People that maybe had thought their riding years were in their past, people like my parents who have been biking for 50 years are now able to add another 20 years of riding to their life because they have an e-bike that can help assist with some of the parts of cycling that their bodies might not be able to keep up with anymore. And so the same older adults that are flocking to pickleball as a way to stay active and outside and social are a prime audience to be able to enter the cycling community. Again, I'm just going to keep hammering this point home that growth comes from attracting these new riders, not just repeat purchases. So if you remember nothing else, remember the pickle bike because it's funny, and remember this. All right, so today on our roadmap, or bike path map rather, we are going to identify the emerging rider audiences, the people that are prime, ready to come into the sport of cycling, learn where they spend their time, both offline and online, and explore some engagement strategies that you as retailers can use to hook them, to get them in the shop, to get them interested in cycling, love cycling, and coming back for more. So, new rider audiences. Kind of touched on all of these already, but just to reiterate, we got young families, fitness seekers. These are the demographics that help grow cycling during COVID. And then we're going to add another group to this as well, which are active older adults. And these are the people that are the pickleball players and the people that e-bikes can really help out here. All right. First group, young families. There's a cameo of me actually and my kids quite a few years ago when they were younger. I can tell you from personal experience, my family and most of our friends with kids are always looking for things that are cheap, entertaining, keep the kids off screens, off their Xbox. Some of the best talks I've had with my 3 kids over the years have been on bikes. That's because they're literally forced to talk to me. They have nothing else to do. And in this day and age where kids are so focused on electronic entertainment, having an opportunity, an adventurous thing to do outside together is priceless. So we've spent a lot of time biking. So yeah, they're motivated by outdoor adventure, low-cost activities, and having fun. We also know that kids are more interested in riding bikes right now too. Youth ridership, and that's for ages 3 to 17, is up 9 to 15% in 2024, and that's the first time that we've seen a big spike in youth ridership interest in a really long time. If kids are interested in riding bikes, even if their parents aren't, they may not be like me and my husband who were already into biking before we had kids, but if their kids are interested in it, they're going to get the parents interested in it. That's going to be how it works. So this is a really exciting and encouraging statistic that kids are interested in riding bikes again. Just from some personal anecdotal evidence from working at QBP, we have seen a surge in interest in child carriers and trailer bikes at QBP.com. So we know that people are interested in ways that they can ride bikes with their kids. And back to COVID again, having kids in the house was one of the top indicators of who bought bikes for the first time during the pandemic surge. Next group of people we're going to focus on are our fitness seekers. So these are people that are motivated by health and stress relief. You can walk around the grocery store and notice how many more high protein, low carb, low cal food options, how many aisles are dedicated to supplements. And it's obvious that people are more interested and concerned about being healthy and fit right now. And there's just tons of statistics. I could fill up multiple slides to just kind of demonstrate this surge in interest in being healthy that back up this observation. And it's especially true for the younger generation. So Gen Z in particular are extremely motivated and concerned about their health. They're drinking less, they are eating better, they are exercising more than any previous generation. And obviously that has the potential for them to be really interested in bike riding, right? It's another way to get exercise, be outside. It's a cheap way. It's cheaper than the gym often. So here's just some stats that I found especially interesting. 65% of adults that Strava asked last year said they plan to prioritize outdoor exercise over gyms, which obviously great for bike people. 64% of Gen Z would rather spend money on fitness than a date. So I just found that really interesting because young kids, you normally think like their biggest priority is finding a partner, and it's not anymore. And then there's just some more stats from Strava down here. 30% of Gen Z said they plan to spend more on fitness in 2026, and 64% again said they'd rather spend money on fitness gear than a date. So those are just like people that are right there, prime people to get hooked into biking. Move to the final group we're going to talk about, active older adults. So again, people like my parents. These are the 55 plus community that is really driving the pickleball craze, and people that are just right there for us to hook with e-bikes and explain how the benefits of pickleball are so similar to biking. So just some stats here. The 55 plus active adult market is projected to hit 906 billion by 2033. You can see by this graph here that it's just growing consistently over the last several years and will continue to do so. This is driven by demand for social wellness focused lifestyles. Older adults that are surveyed are concerned really about the same things that Gen Z are. They want to stay healthy longer. They want to continue to have an active, full, thriving life well past retirement. We've also seen that there's an increasing interest and participation in community-based senior programming. So think things like community centers, senior walking clubs, things like that. Participation is increasing in those, which can lead one to believe, again, that this is just more evidence showing that seniors are seeking this out. They are seeking out ways to stay active, social, outdoors, etc. And again, e-bikes, perfect way to connect those desires to stay active and outdoors with your products. All right, so we know who these people are. Where are they? How do we meet them? Where do we find them? Where do they hang out online and offline? How do we reach them? So we're going to just dig in by group again with some market research, basically. Young families are using social media a lot for finding things to do. So I mentioned families looking for fun, adventurous, outdoor things that are away from screens. And the way that they find these things to do are primarily Facebook and Instagram. I can attest to that. Again, myself as a parent, I'm often looking at the events near me on Facebook, just looking for stuff to do when the rare weekend comes around that we don't have youth sports to attend. I'm looking for fun family activities that we can do that don't cost a lot of money and don't require, all three of my kids to be on the same exact level. So 75% of parents are like me that use Facebook to find local activities. Obviously, we're often at school and community events as well. So our community is very important. And we're going to be places where children are welcome. All right, fitness seekers, people who are interested in fitness. They're primarily on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. With the way algorithms work on social media, if you watch one workout video, you're going to see a million workout videos in your feed, whether you want to or not. So you really only have to hook people like once or twice with good content, and you're going to continue to have them see that same content. So people are using, fitness seekers are following workout accounts. They're specifically looking out for instructional videos, how to burn 500 calories in 30 minutes on your bike, or how to, increase your calorie burn on your walks, things like that. Outside of social media, they're obviously in the gym. Participation in races is going up, things like 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, bike races. I just did a rollerblading marathon and I was shocked at how many other people there were there. And fitness communities are growing too. So run clubs, bike clubs, things like that. People are looking for like-minded fitness lovers to socialize with while getting fit. Over 60% of people who have any sort of interest in fitness are following workout-related accounts. And older active adults, Facebook, the meme of, the older people on Facebook is true. They're on Facebook. 74% of adults 50 plus use Facebook often. They're also kind of surprisingly, for me anyways, on YouTube a lot. So that 50 to 65 plus is like 85% are on YouTube in some capacity. And from the research I've done on that, it's mostly for DIY videos. Like they prefer a longer in-depth video on how to fix a bike tire, let's say, than what would be on YouTube, which would be on what would be on TikTok, which would likely be a more like short, snappy, spliced together type of video. So they're flocking to YouTube because they like that longer form, more in-depth type of content generally. And then they're also on Nextdoor. I know from my experience, it's almost all older adults that are on Nextdoor, so a good place to reach them there. And then, like I mentioned before, they are participating in a lot of community and recreation activities at a increasing year-over-year rate. Okay, so cool. We know who they are. We know kind of where they hang out, where they spend their time. But we know that we need to hook them. We need to get them into our shops, into our industry. And based on the behaviors we've seen during COVID and what we know about the pickleball explosion, we can determine that these demographics are prime targets for becoming new cyclists. We just need to engage them. So let's look at some ideas for bringing them in to the sport and literally into your shop. All right, first we're going to look at some in-store events ideas for young families. When I sold kids' shoes at Nordstrom back in college, we had a My First Shoes program, and families were willing to spend a lot more on shoes if they got the experience with the shoe buying process. We would fit their kid with shoes, we'd give their kid a balloon, we'd take a Polaroid, we'd send them home with a little certificate, and they loved it. And the best part about it was they came back when they inevitably needed new shoes. They liked the attention their kid got. They liked that their kids became comfortable with the staff in our shoe department, and they became repeat customers, and they were willing to spend more on their, like they could have gone and bought those shoes at Walmart for cheaper, but the experience we gave them made them willing to pay the extra money. So I think this could be a really awesome thing for bike shops to replicate. It's a really fun experience for a kid to get their first bike. Why not make it a memory? Be pretty easy to have a program where you fit a kid on a bike, help get the seat in the right position, take off the training wheels or put them on depending on the situation, take a picture, give them a bike certificate, things like that. So I just have some kind of renderings of what that could look like in here. Other ideas for engaging families in store would be helmet safety checks and child seat fittings. Again, we know like car seat fittings are a really popular thing. You can go into a police station and or a fire station and have them make sure that your car seat is installed properly. Why not offer the same service once a month in your bike shop? Have people come in, get their child seat fitted, or buy a child seat, get to try a couple different types, and you can explain the benefits of the different styles that you carry in the store, and send them on their way with a new bike seat. And then another idea that I had for this was family bike decorating events. So this would be stocking some, lower price accessories and having an event maybe, once or twice a year where you advertise that families can come in and pick from different colored grip tape and saddles and maybe bells and mirrors, the little tassels that go off the side of your off of your handlebars, pedals, switch out the pedal color, like easy things that would be really fun for maybe a kid doesn't need a new bike every summer, but every summer maybe they come in and they just like upgrade their bike with some fun new colors and accessories, and an easy way to get some of those sales at the beginning of a season. All right, just a few ideas for in-store events that might hook our fitness-seeking crowd. Yes, a bike on its own is good for fitness. I know this, but fitness seekers really love to see their progress and results. So offering days where they can come in and have their bike given a fitness makeover, I think could be really a cool hook. So this could be things like power meters, bike computers, sensors, Garmin mounts, things like that that you can explain will make it easier for them to see the progress they're making while they're riding their bike. You could have an event where you align their fitness goals to recommendations for performance for meeting those goals. So you could have like a weekend warrior upgrade would be tires and pedals and computers, or a climb faster kit. You could offer a lighter cassette and fit adjustment. A train smarter package might be a power meter, things like that. So showing people that already have a bike how they can optimize that bike to meet specific fitness goals. And then another one that I kind of created a little conceptualization of here for you is having some kind of hydration and nutrition sample tasting event. So I know a lot of shops have, the hydration packets that you mix with water, the gels, the supplements, the bars, all the things that are very popular right now. But honestly are hard to buy online because you haven't tried them. And who wants to spend $60 on a pack of hydration tablets that you try and you hate, you don't like the flavor. So having an event where you have, like, you can do a flight of hydration waters and you can try all the different bars that you have and sample them, and then of course have them ready there stocked for people to buy the one that they liked best. Could be a really good way to get people into the shop and buying from you. And then finally, in-store events for the older adult crowd. The easiest one that comes to mind would be the Try an E-Bike demo day. I think most older adults can pretty clearly understand the benefits of an e-bike, but maybe assume that they ride more like a motorcycle, and taking away their kind of fear of the unknown by letting them see, touch, feel, ride, try the experience will make them so much more likely to take that leap and make a purchase. And a Try an E-Bike demo day could be something that you do at your store, or even something that you partner with a local retirement community or community center and ask if you can bring a few bikes to them and set up an event there. Also, just having some kind of beginner bike maintenance workshops, I think, again, would really help remove the fear that a lot of people have with e-bikes specifically. How can I make sure that the battery stays good and doesn't start to die on me? What are some little fixes that I can do myself versus when should I take my bike in and have mechanic at the shop look at it. So again, just like going back to pickleball and how we know that the barriers are so low, and that's why people are willing to enter that sport. Let's take away the barriers, the fear, the 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 unknowns that are getting in the way from people thinking that an e-bike is a good option for them. All right, and then beyond in-store events, like I said before, we know a lot of these people are online. They spend a great deal on their phone and on their computer. So how can we hook them there? Um, Instagram, Reels, TikTok for families. So what can you do to provide content that's going to be organically interesting to young families? Anything to do with family ride days. Like maybe you have someone that you're connected with at your shop go out and film little snippets of their family ride day, showing how much fun it can be to go on a bike adventure with your kids. Maybe that's doing some research and sharing the top 10 family routes, appropriate for kids and under 40 minutes or whatever you decide is the most appealing hook for that. Sharing that kind of stuff. I know I seek it out and I know I have friends that seek it out, and that kind of stuff is super helpful and is going to then get your shop name out to the people that are looking for that. For TikTok and YouTube, this is really where I would focus efforts on hooking the fitness community. So how can you create a 60-minute bike burner workout that kind of uses the same principles of a spin class, but out on the actual road? People, I don't even think necessarily know that you don't just have to ride your bike recreationally all at one speed down a path, that there are ways to do intervals on a regular bike on a bike path. Maybe you write out that workout for them that they can take on their own. And maybe you even share it with your social media following, but also like, hey, do this workout, come in our shop and let us know, and you get 10% off your purchase, something like that, tying it back to having people come back into your shop. And then, I mean, I think for the older community, anything that you can show that drives home the point that e-biking can add years to your health or even just to your riding life is going to be super compelling. This is just an example that AI conceptualized for me that sort of is an example of something you could show, that what barriers does e-biking take away? It takes away joint pain. What does it bring? Things like that. So honestly, like it's so easy now to create those infographics. It doesn't require having some kind of graphic designer on site or even someone that knows anything about content or social media. It just requires you giving AI the benefits you want to explain and who your target audience is, and asking them to create an infographic for you. And stuff it spits out these days is pretty good. So, and I really liked how in this example, they had a QR code here. So it's not just sharing the information about e-bikes, but it's creating an actionable step that you can give to people. So scan, and that goes to your, bike shop location, and they can come in and they can ask questions and they can get fitted with an e-bike or get their e-bike maintained or repaired, things like that. And then some community engagement ideas. Themed group rides, I think, is probably the most obvious one. Pickleball is now so popular that there are sites online where you can find local courts and opponents by your skill level, which I think is amazing. And again, is like just taking down a barrier and an accessibility block that a lot of activities have. But we know that this makes it less intimidating for people, and so they're willing to do it. So again, it's like, how can we make a group ride less intimidating and aligned with different skill levels? Not everybody is at the same skill level. And I know from my personal experience, I've always been scared to go on group rides just because I'm like, I'm going to be slow. I'm not going to be able to keep up. And so I don't do it, even though I can bike, but I'm not a a competitive biker? Am I going to feel stupid if I go on this bike ride and everyone is going faster than me? So why not take that part away? And yes, you can continue to do your bike rides for really serious bikers, but you can also add some for families. So this is a family ride. This is, we're gonna go at a pace where a 7-year-old can keep up. And we're gonna stop when people need snacks or do a coffee shop crawl to kind of bring in that social part of it. 55 plus ride for the older adult crew. So let's go, offer a ride on a Tuesday during the day when maybe hours are slow, anyways in your store. But people who are retired are home and looking for something to do, meet up at your shop, and you have them there then, and you have that community building happening. For the fitness crowd, offering interval rides, say like, we're gonna, this is a more not competitive ride, but like this one is going to be focused on we're going to burn 1,000 calories and we're going to end back at the shop and we're going to have smoothies, protein smoothies together. And advertising that and targeting fitness people, people that maybe not didn't even think about biking as a fitness activity and still look at it as more of a recreation activity and making that connection that it can be both. School bike safety rodeos. I put this one on there because one of my child's preschools did this once and I thought it was super cool. They told all the kids to bring their bikes one day, set up some cones in the parking lot, and just, taught kids about bike safety, did some little drills, made sure everybody had a helmet. If you were running this as a retailer, like you could obviously have some branding there. You could send kids home with a flyer with some bike safety information and also a link to your site if you have one, or just your shop information, letting parents know like, hey, we came in, we taught your kids about biking. If you're interested in bike upgrades or helmet safety checks, come see us. So a great way to meet kids where they are at their school. And then another thought that I had would be some kind of gym partnerships. I don't know exactly how logistically this would work, but offering to do like a spin takeover. So I know I sometimes do spin classes at a local place with some of my friends, and in the summer they do some activities where they move outside. They take the spin bikes and it's like a whole thing because you got to move them all outside of this indoor studio and outside just to be outside. When I'm like, well, you could just ride a bike then, like if you want to be outside. So how could you be like, I will lead your spin class, but we're going to bring our actual bikes and we're going to practice like interval riding, going at different paces, doing hills, things like that as a class. Something to think about that's a little creative and out of the box, and again, gets you an in with the fitness seekers that are hanging out at gyms and spin studios and things like that. And then finally, I'll just give a little plug for some support that QBP can offer your shop in the e-commerce space. So if your shop is looking to provide a website to order from and you don't have one yet, we have a couple services that make that fairly easy to set up if you're working with an implementation partner or a developer or somebody knows how to connect with our systems here. But one program we have is CLS, which is Content Licensing Service. So all of the product information that you see on QBP.com when you're making purchases to stock your shop. So the product summary, the bullet points with features and specs, you can sign up to have that information go directly to your own e-commerce retail site. So we are basically taking away all the work that it would take for you to have a team that's writing all the copy and providing all the images for everything that you sell online. And you can take it and you can have it directly flow to your e-com site. So those PDPs are basically pre-built for you. And this is really nice because, well, outside of the work that it's taking away from you, our team and the team that I lead at QBP is really making more of an effort to have those product detail pages be more beginner friendly, have more storytelling involved, not assuming that everybody who's looking at that product listing is a bike shop owner that can fill in any blanks. We are making an effort knowing that more and more of our content is going out to individual e-commerce sites to make it consumer end user rider friendly. So that's a really good option for your shop. And then we also offer a service called Retail Fulfillment Services, which is basically drop shipping. So instead of having to stock everything for every type of rider in your store and take that inventory risk, you can have access to our full catalog and help a customer order something in your store that you don't necessarily stock, and have QBP ship it out to that customer or have it shipped to your store so that you can provide those tailored kind of endless aisle recommendations to new riders in store without having to carry enough stock to be able to service all these new demographics that we've talked about today. And if you're interested in either of those, I'm going to drop my contact information at the end of this presentation, and you can feel free to reach out to me and I can give you more information on both of those. All right, so some key takeaways that we've talked about today. Going to repeat it again. Cycling can replicate pickleball's growth by being social, accessible, good for you, and fun. Meeting riders where they are, online and offline, is essential. Retailers can drive demand with targeted creative engagement tactics for these new demographics. And I want to make sure it's clear that while I'm focusing on young families, fitness seekers, and active older adults, those aren't the only new riders that we could be bringing in. I thought it would be easier to kind of hone in on a few specific demographics that we know are especially ripe for this. But in general, I hope to have you just start thinking outside of the box a little bit. And we're guilty of it at QBP too, where you kind of have this vision in your mind of who a cyclist is. And while we do want to continue, obviously, to serve those hardcore spandex wearing cyclists, we also cannot grow our industry, and you cannot grow your business without bringing in new people. So it's just thinking about, who are these people? How can we get them to understand how great cycling is, all the benefits that it has, and replicate how we've seen pickleball be able to do that for our industry. So yeah, this is the point in the presentation where I was planning to hand out bags of Old Dutch pickle chips. Old Dutch is a Minnesota company, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. So unfortunately, I can't provide those virtually, but I will encourage you next time you're at the store and you see one, maybe pick up a bag and be reminded of this presentation and the groups of writers out there that are just kind of waiting for us to invite them in and engage with them. So I saved my one really bad pun right for the end for you. So yeah, we'll show them why cycling is such a big deal. So yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you found at least a couple helpful little tips in there for thinking about new people to bring in. If you have any questions, if you want to share ideas of what your shop is doing to attract new riders, please share them with me. I would love to hear about it. Or if you have requests for information on any of the services that I touched on very briefly, the CLS or the RFS, yeah, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to send out some information about that or connect you with people who can answer questions. So have my email there, kcook@qbp.com. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. I super appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll be able to see you in person at Frostbike 2027. Bye.